Visit us at njbtrc.com or call us at 913-384-8105. The thoughts, opinions, and statements expressed on this show are not the thoughts, opinions, and statements of KUAW LBFM 98.5.
That's a cut.
Ellington.
Here it comes. Here it comes. What's that sound?
Right here. You getting feedback?
Yeah, I am too, a little bit.
Did they get it out? What the heck? Oh, this humming.
It's got something to do with that right there. Got a little hum.
Yeah.
Got a little hum.
Okay. Still got a little hum in it.
Yeah.
That's better, but it ain't.
See, I took it out when you pulled that out. I took it away. Live?
You lied.
Let's go.
Gotta get a mic as well as
What's going on, Kansas City? You're now listening to What's Real Talk, KUAW LPFM. The call-in number is always area code 816-599-6893. If you're listening to this on my Facebook feed, you can always go to the KUAW LPFM Facebook.com. You'll get a much better audio and integrated experience. In the studio with me, I got my man sitting to the left of me. We got York Wilson right here.
What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing? Happy Sunday. Happy Chiefs Day.
Yes, sir.
And to the right of me right here,
Yes,
we got
sir.
the birthday boy himself.
Yes, sir.
We got the birthday boy himself,
Kansas
Mr.
City.
Charles Johnson, a.k.a. Patrick Mahomes' pop.
That's a good one there. What's going on, Kansas City? What's real? Real talk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we're going to go ahead and get right into it, man. We should have a fun, interesting show today. I'm going to hit everybody with the news real quick, and then we'll go ahead and jump into it, talk about your son a little bit and what he's going to do on the field
He's
today.
going to show his butt, man. Hey,
I
he
think
don't
so.
fall from the tree.
And I don't know where I got this report, man, but I got a phone call that, Patrick Mahomes' dad was dancing outside of the highway today. I don't know who that was.
That man, I'm going to take the fifth on that one. I'm going to hold on that one, York. I ain't going to comment on that. But you're in Kingdom Country.
I'm going to jump right into the news. We got a lot to hit everybody with. How y'all doing as y'all coming online? And again, if you're watching on my Facebook feed, you can always go to the KUAW LPFM Facebook page, you have an integrated video and audio experience. So jumping right into the news so we can get around to the round table. This week we had a lot of stuff going on at the Capitol. Governor Parson wants to borrow $351 million. This is going to come important as we get to talking today. He wants to borrow $351 million for bridges. During his first State of the State address on January the 16th, Governor Mike Parsons proposed borrowing $351 million to repair or replace 250 bridges listed as being in need of critical repairs. Parsons' plans comes 2 months after Missouri voters rejected a phase-in 10-cent increase in the state's fuel tax. That was the initiative that was on the ballot this November, the increase of the fuel tax. Although Parsons' bonding plan would bolster transportation infrastructure improvements in the short term, it would add to Missouri substantial transportation bonding debt. Now we in debt because we've been giving away a lot of money in the last 8 years at the Capitol in tax incentives and tax cuts that the state is now seeing. This is why we're in financial trouble this year that they've been talking about. Historically, the Missouri Department of Transportation has funded projects on pay-as-you-go basis, but that changed during 2000 when it issued more than $3.8 billion in bonds to finance road and bridges construction. Because of most of MoDOT's revenue has since been redirected to paying off debt, less money has been available for road work in recent years. As of June 30th, 2018, MoDOT still had $1.8 billion in bond debt outstanding. With the current debt, that's a lot of money.
Man, that's a lot of money, man.
Especially when in that year we actually gave away some money. I mean, that was last year. We gave away money the year before that, and the year before that, and then we had that big tax cut, and I believe it was 16 or 15. And all of this is coming to fruition, like Malcolm would say. Now you're seeing the roosters come home.
Yes, real talk.
All right, more governor's spending requests. In unveiling the proposed state operating budget for this upcoming fiscal year, Governor Mike Parsons on January 16th, again, that was the state of the state, called for increasing general revenue spending of $492.55 million, even though the consensus revenue estimated agreed by the administration and legislative budget leaders anticipated general revenue growth of only $193 million over the previous year, while the governor expects to achieve $189.3 million in savings by streamlining state agencies, and roughly $100 million gap remains between what he wants to spend and the expected revenues. Now, remember these dollars as we're talking, because we have a crossroads issue that's closing down that's around $15 million that the state should save. And as we get into crossroads issue, we kind of open that up. Let me see.
That's 15 million right there.
Galloway takes off for auditor. She did that on January the 14th. I look forward to Nicole Galloway being an auditor because each year we see that she's not afraid to request audits of sensitive issues.
She's there's some requests for here in Jackson County.
No, she did.
Yes.
She actually requested maybe a year or two ago that the state comes in and audit the city.
Correct.
Your illustrious Mayor Sly rejected that request. And I said that way being cynical because I actually wanted the audit to come in. And just since you brought it up, so people that are out here watching and understand, there's a couple ways to get a state-sponsored audit outside of a state department. Either that's by initiative petition or the state is invited in, meaning the mayor is like, yeah, we want you to come in, check out books, or you can have an initiative petition done. Now, if it's the State Department, obviously the state auditor has discretion to go in and do whatever she wants to do. And it's the same when we talk about the Attorney General. We think about the Attorney General being the top law enforcement prosecutor, but he still has to be invited into local municipalities. And that's just a separation of powers. Fitzpatrick, our new state treasurer, he took office this week too, on the 14th. And I'm almost out of the news. I'm gonna hit you up with a couple budget priorities that came from the governor. And as we get into the round topic, we can discuss a little bit of everything. The governor's proposal for 2020, the budget up until 2020, state operating budget appears to be out of balance. Although the consensus revenue estimate agreed upon by the administration and the House and Senate budget chairman anticipates general revenue around $193 million over the previous year. The governor budget calls for nearly $493 million in new general revenue spending. Don't know where this money's going to come from. Even when accounting for the $189 million in savings, the governor expects to achieve from spending cuts at various state agencies. Again, Department of Corrections and state agencies. That still leaves $111 million dollars in general revenue in the hole that he's trying to spend. Although the governor has consistently required the presence of a proposed state budget, the General Assembly each year, his plan is just a recommendation, and that's just for the general public. So even though the governor gives us a proposed budget, we don't have to fund the governor's budget how he proposes it. Typically, you see the majority party, if the governor is part of that party, try to come up with the governor's budget because it makes them look good all the way around. We don't have to. K-12 education. The governor budget calls for $61 million in increase in the statutory formula for delivering basic state funding for local and public schools. Now, this is important because on one end, it looks like the governor wants to spend $61 million more for the state foundation formula. The problem with this is if we cut $498 million, something around that tune, about 3 years ago from the foundation formula, 3 or 4 years ago from the foundation formula. So even though we have an increase of $61 million, that's still a deficit of around 200-some million that we previously used to fund the foundation formula that still wasn't adequate when it comes to education needs. Higher education. The governor's budget calls for keeping appropriations to the Missouri public colleges and universities at the levels that we've seen in 2019, which is also accounting for inflation. So it is no significant changes from the governor's budget. The big change that we see is for borrowing for bridges. And again, after the taxes were rejected this November, under the governor's new plan, it would call for increased spending of $351 million in bonds to finance the repair and replacement of over 250 bridges that are in critical condition. So for those that are watching in Kansas City, we're talking about the
Buck O'Neil.
Thank you, the Buck O'Neil Bridge. That's one that would actually be improved. I know the city came out with something about a year ago talking about the need to improve it, but that's actually a state responsibility. Corrections. The governor plans to close the Trouble Crossroads Correctional Center and is moving its 900 maximum security inmates to the nearby Western Correctional Center, which is right across the street.
Was that
Both-
Cameron?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, both prisons are located in Cameron. Inmates at Crossroad staged a sit-in facility in May over the poor conditions. The situation later turned into a so-called riot that caused substantial damage and led to a lockdown that is still in modification.
Yes. It's still in modification to some
Yeah.
degree.
No, it's still in modification.
Yeah.
And see, this is one of the reasons that I was in favor of the governor closing down. And I'm just going to kind of jump into this because we can start jumping into the round table.
Okay.
So I hit the big priority issues that I want to talk about. So this is one of the reasons that I was actually in favor of the governor coming out talking about he was going to close Crossroads. As you know, Charles, you was with me from the first meeting to the last meeting out there at Crossroads, dealing with the constitutional violations that the offenders are going through right now, dealing with the modified and at that time the full-scale lockdown and all of the inconsistencies between transparency that's coming out of that facility.
Correct.
So I'm not saying that by moving the inmates over to the Western Missouri Correctional Facility that it's going to be better. What I'm saying is that we immediately get them out of a situation that we had a warden that was allowing unconstitutional provisions to happen.
On a regular basis.
Yeah, go ahead, Troy.
On a regular basis, allowing the violation of constitutional rights there. Not only theirs, you as a representative.
Yeah.
You were totally denied access to that facility by that particular individual. So if she's going to go to that degree dealing with an elected official, I can imagine what some of the offenders were subjected to in that institution.
It was funny to me because we actually asked her on camera if she understood the state statute. She looked at me and said, yes, the only thing I wish I did was call the highway patrol. But again, as a black man that grew up in the city, I'm not used to calling law enforcement for protection. Correct. So it never crossed my mind that I actually had authority to go ahead and call and, we could have increased the pressure that day. But in saying all of that, it shows a couple things. One, it shows that if we apply pressure we can actually bust pipes. And we're seeing that with corrections.
When it's applied in the correct manner now. When
Perfect.
when you're hitting that vital point, you're gonna get some results.
Now, I'm glad you said that.
Yes.
Because the way that you go about things
That's the
is
key.
critical, because either you get shut out the door or not.
That's the key.
And we're not done. And this is just an update for people that was concerned about the Crossroads issue. Since I know that by closing that facility, and it wasn't in the governor's recommendation, notice I didn't read it as I was reading stats. I know that by closing that facility, we're going to save around $15 million.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying I have access to all $15 million, but I am saying this. I'm making a commitment to trying to get as much of those $15 million or monies as I can to reallocate it into recidivism programs and also programs inside of the correctional institutions that we don't see right now.
Okay.
Since we're closing the facility, we know we got this money to play with, and we know all of this money isn't going to go to CO raises.
That's true.
Now, if it was all going to CO raises, we'd be talking about paying our COs a couple $100,000.
Everybody want to be a correction officer. In the state of Missouri.
And we know that's not happening.
What's gonna happen with the jobs there, though? A couple of them, correction officer, the person that didn't let you in.
Well, if I'm the warden of this facility, you closing my doors, I ain't the warden no more.
And I just seen that same question. So I don't like to give fictitious opinions. So this goes to what you just said, and it goes to what Ms. Price just asked. What's going to happen to her? I think she's going to be gone, but notice I said I think. So I actually have a meeting with the governor's people this week. So when I sit down with the governor's people, I'll be able to answer questions like that with 100% confidence. But if I had to guess, I would say she's going to be gone. But again, I sit down with the governor's people this week. When I sit down with them, I would know.
And let's keep in mind, they do hide pretty well. They do take individuals and hide them pretty well within that entity.
Yeah, now you're right. Give them different job descriptions and stuff like that. Now you're right.
Yeah, relocate.
But I would be able to give you a definite answer on not only what's going to happen with the former warden at Crossroads, because Western already has a warden.
Correct.
Right? They already have a warden. We're not going to see a situation in which we have two wardens in the penitentiary.
That could be a possibility. And I'm just thinking
Now, go
kind of
ahead.
out loud, Brandon, while you said that, because that facility is capable of being divided into two entities.
Yeah, I
Under one
haven't
roof.
walked that facility.
Well, under one roof, and I'm assuming if they're going to do that consolidation with that particular institution, you're going to have one side that's maximum security, and then another side that's minimum security, et cetera. If I've been over here as the warden of this facility as a medium security, then I would think I would probably need some more training to run a maximum security.
I don't know.
facility.
Now
I
that's a
don't
good
know.
one.
I don't
I would
know.
know this week.
I don't
Now I
know,
do
but
know. Let me throw this in too, just so people know where I'm at with the warden. I have issues with the warden 100% around, and it doesn't just stem from the issue of me trying to go to the facility. It stems from the issue that if you're the warden and you have a facility that's severely understaffed, where we have offenders that are getting murdered because it's not enough staff. Now we've seen that prior to the so-called riot, and we've seen it after
We've seen it today.
the lifting of the modifications. It was an offender that was murdered, and they said that if it was adequate staff, that offender wouldn't have been murdered, right? And we've had multiple accounts from offenders that are locked up in there that talk about fights that have went past the realm of safety,
Yeah.
and they're actually pushing on the bells and calling for COs, and nobody's coming.
Nobody's-
So as a warden, the warden is over all of that. The same when we talk about the overt constitutional violations that we found in that facility. So me personally, I'm gonna be pushing to make sure the warden is in there. I don't want to give any type of fictitious answer though. So again, I don't know 100%. I will know this week. And when we come back on, I'll be able to give y'all updates on exactly what's happening with the staffing, what's happening with the warden, what's happening with the violations, because the violations are still relevant. And we've also are still trying to get the feds to come in.
I have a question that from you all's perspective, from a legislator perspective, will they have conduct public hearing on that closure? Does the public have any say-so input? Because you're talking about taking a bunch of money up out of that county right there for a period of time. And I was just wondering, will they have hearings like that, hearing that some of the people came down speaking about their loved ones in their facility?
Well, let's keep it all the way funky.
Yeah.
If we're gonna keep it all the way funky,
Yeah.
they actually aren't losing any money. Now I'm not happy with that, because they're not depleting the population, right? And so for those that loosely follow it, when you have people from Kansas City, St. Louis, and their warehouse and a correctional facility that's outside of Kansas City, St. Louis, and that 10-year mark hits, that census mark hits, their tax dollars goes to that county, right? So in Cameron County, DeKalb County, we see a population.
DeKalb
County, that's what we call it. DeKalb, it's DeKalb. We see a population increase of 26%.
Right.
That's a huge increase.
Correct.
When we talk about associated tax dollars and resources,
yeah.
right? So they're not losing any of that because they're not losing any of the offenders. Nobody's getting released early because of the closure. They're just getting moved over to a different facility. So they're not losing any of those dollars associated with it. I forgot the question you was asking.
Now, what happens to the facility over there that we as taxpayers just spent all that money?
Not good question. So now I'm about to hit your question too, Ms. Price. And your question is the feds don't understand why it's taking. I don't understand why it's taking so long for them to come in either. We got senators that signed up. We got House members that signed up. People on both sides of the aisle that signed up. I talked to the cat from the Department of Justice, and he said shouldn't take that long for them to get approval to come in. But I have no idea why it's taking so long for them to actually kick off official investigation.
Is there anything that we can do on this side to maybe contact your representative as far as pushing this issue to see?
Not good thing. So yeah, we can get more reps and senators to sign on. Y'all can contact y'all state reps, state senators to tell them to sign on. We can also send more information to the Department of Justice down here with citizens just actually kind of hitting the department, requesting them to come in. But to answer your question, I don't know why it's taking so long. Like when I initially talked to him, I spoke to him on the phone. We've been back and forth to emails, all type of things. I was underneath the impression that it was going to be a pretty quick process as far as them getting authority to come in. I don't know what's blocking the authority. The state couldn't block the authority because we're talking about constitutional violations. So I don't know. It's been like maybe a month or two since I sent something over there to the Department of Justice.
Then again, Brandon, they might have already pieced some stuff. That's why governor did what he did. It's just not made public.
Yeah,
we don't know who been in his ear.
No, real talk.
Yeah,
and again, I have.
And I'm playing devil advocate there.
Not real
saying that they've been there.
Not real talk, and that's something that I want to highlight too, because in the initial press thing that came out, they said I was elated, and I was, because they caught me off guard when they asked. But nobody has had information about this. So after the state of the state, I started inquiring of the liaison and things of that nature. And it was like, well, we've been working on things, but we couldn't say anything, we couldn't disclose anything. Because I was caught off guard with the closure myself, because I've had meetings with the governor's people, the same people that I'm gonna have meetings with this week. So they've been in the meeting with me, the director of pre-site, etc. They know the issues. I didn't deliver them the same letters I didn't deliver the Department of Justice. Okay. So it is an ongoing thing that's popping right now. I don't have all the answers this week, but I will be sitting down with them this week when I get back to the Capitol, and I will have more to divulge on the issue. But I do consider it a low-hanging fruit or a soft win, because we have a facility that's closing right now that has several constitutional violations, and that opens up a pot of dollars that we should be able to leverage from the governor's office to get recidivism programs, type of programs inside the institutions. Somebody asked about jobs. You had asked about jobs in the institution. What's going on? Well, I had issues with the jobs that was currently in. You're already on camera, can't you already see? I have issues with the jobs that they currently had and the lack there of incentives by payment, et cetera, that they had going. Which brings me to this, since we're talking about the penitentiary, and we have the king in the studio.
Hey.
What's going on? What's going on?
Chill.
See, you got the World from the Sorrow hoodie on.
That's right.
Making it right, just making it right.
It's crap. Good looking out. Good looking out, bro. It's a blessing to have one, man. Real tough.
And before we divulge, just because I was still on this topic, we also have something that I filed this week that I definitely would like people to contact the governor, your senators, and your reps for. Thursday, I filed HCR calling on the federal government to remove the language out of the 13th Amendment that calls for involuntary servitude. I also requested that the governor, since the governor in the state of the state specifically stated that he didn't want to build any new prisons. And he's also closing down the prison, right? That he stands beside us with removing that language not only out of the federal constitution, but out of the Missouri Constitution. Got anything you want to throw in on that?
How many people?
I did. Go ahead.
How many people they talk about releasing? I mean, you got to shut down these prisons, and a lot of these prisons will actually fill to capacity, being that the prisons are overpopulated. And so now, what y'all gonna do? We need to start looking at some type of reforming of the laws, lesser penalties on drug offenders. Which, at the end of the day, with the change in the drug, they talk about increasing the penalties on drug offenders. So you go from basically locking people up for selling crack and cocaine to say, oh well, that's not on the streets no more. Let's lock them up for this and this and now. So it's nothing but, hey, we're doing this, but now we're gonna do this. So at the end of the day, what's really being changed?
Well, just
he came back around from last week.
I gotta hit him with two things, just being factual. So right now we're talking about the closing of a facility in Cameron that's not overcrowded. Right. So when we talk about Crossroads, correct? Yeah, he's been working out a little bit too.
Yeah, I've been working out
when
too.
We talk about just ripping mics out of the water. So when we talk about Crossroads Correctional Facility, Crossroads is not overpopulated. Now, what's been happening with the offenders in that facility is they've been putting in sleeping accommodations that they shouldn't been put in, and the excuse is because of the understaffing. So they actually had a pod out there that was not being utilized, that could have been utilized. And then you had inmates or offenders in pods where they were sleeping on the floor because they had no access to the wing that was open, but had no employees or COs working the hallway. Now, when you talk about the war on poverty or the war on drugs, that's 100% accurate, 100% right. But that goes two ways, right? As so-called marginalized folks, we have to understand that politics is war without bloodshed and war is bloody politics. And if you say that it's a war on drugs, which is actually a war on poverty, and we sit back and we allow abuse, then we're playing the role of POW, meaning that we have to be just as aggressive as not only organizing and talking about that we want the law changed, but making sure that we show up and utilize the proper channels, meaning not just use the Crossroads example. You don't go to a warden of a penitentiary and say that I got issues with the way you run the penitentiary. You go to that person that oversees that warden, because that warden is a low level hanging fruit. The same in the criminal justice arena. In the criminal justice arena, you don't go to the jail or the police department and say, we want you to police the community different. No, you go to the funding mechanism of that police department and also who does those laws, right? So judges only have the discretion to enforce laws that are on the book, meaning the legislative body is the ones that you want to change the law. Prosecutors have the authority to prosecute. So that means if you're in a city that you see young folks getting over prosecuted and they're not using alternative sentences, well, you want to be beating your prosecutor over the head to make sure they have alternative sentences in order to reverse. So like in Kansas City, we have an issue with co-defendants being prosecuted and not the person that's actually committing the murder, because it's easier to get the co-defendant to flip. And if the co-defendant doesn't flip, well, homie, you was in the car and I'm gonna get you on conspiracy. But what you gonna do? Well, we got a lot of cats sitting in jail on conspiracy while the cat that committed the murder is out, and the prosecutor knows that. And as a community, we allow that to happen. Right? As a community, we say that's copacetic when it's not. And I know I'm missing stuff. So let me kind of
is that called educate to liberate?
All day long. All day long. And I'm gonna go over and try to read some of these questions, just kind of jump in as I'm reading them. Which also was, and I'm going backwards, so it may sound retarded. Which also resulted in the putting of them in cells with people. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. So the lack of COs or the lack there of employees is an excuse that they was using for putting people in the pods, but that goes back to the warden, because the warden sits over the facility, and the warden and the director, excuse me. So the warden sits over the facility, and the warden is responsible for staffing and things in that facility. But the director of precinct is over all the corrections, right? So she ultimately has all of the responsibility when it comes to sub employees not doing their job. And again, this is why we'll definitely be pushing to make sure that the warden is not retaining any type of job. and I will know more again this week when I sit down with going backwards. Find some guards that are fired or quit. All right, so we got a couple times. We got a couple guards that are definitely willing to talk. We have one. I'm not gonna mention his name, but you can go to my page and you'll find him on there. We have one gentleman that has won a couple $1 million from the Department of Corrections, and I'm proud to say that I got involved with him a couple years ago. And actually, Representative Miguel McCain-Bacon got involved too. We was able to close down the correctional facility that was off of Front Street and reverted back to an honor center because they had changed it to a level 1, and they had some of the same issues like staffing, abusive staff. And if you go to my page, you will see this gentleman on there. He's won several $1 million from the Department of Corrections, and he still has lawsuits going on from the Department of Corrections. And he's a former CEO. And you will see comments, and you will definitely know who I'm talking about. I don't want to mention his name because he still has lawsuits going. But they're going to other facilities as well.
Tommy, pretty good.
My husband said that. All right, I would check in on that. That's one I'm not 100% sure about, because the information that we're receiving is that they're supposed to be migrated over to the Western facility and not going to different facilities. But again, I will know more this week when we sit down.
I can see what she's saying there, because with what you already have, somebody's going to be moved somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, in both facilities to make room for those coming in to do it.
Oh yeah, the wardens is I'm trying not to cuss, and I want to. The warden is what's the nice word to say for
she's a good old country girl.
All right, I'll go with that.
Good old country.
So I believe that you was denied to speak with the warden. When I first showed up to the correctional facility, I was denied the chance to speak to the warden, and also to execute a state statute that allows state reps to walk through the correctional facility. All of that changed the following week. We was allowed to walk through there, and even the director of corrections, director of precinct, said I wasn't going to be able to do it. The statutes are statutes, and I don't care what appointee says, because the director of corrections is an appointee. At the end of the day, elected officials are elected by the people, and we oversee the appointees, which goes back to the basis of making sure our ducks is in a row when we go fighting for stuff.
That's true.
Now, if it's any more questions on Crossroads, we can answer, or we're going to just go ahead and jump board.
We grab. If any more pop up, we can always come back. Yeah, that's a good terminology, Miss Price.
Yeah,
that's a very good terminology. I couldn't say that.
Opinionated.
I couldn't say that, Miss Price, but that's very, very, very appropriate.
And again, you listen to What's Real World Talk, KUAW. The call-in number is area code 816-599-6893. If you're watching this on my Facebook page, you see all the cameras in front of us. You can go to the KUAW LPFM Facebook page, and you have a much better audio and video integrated experience. So what's going on in Kansas City, man? What's going on in town?
Kansas City is right, for about the last 6 weeks, Brandon, ESPN, we only getting shots of the city. They didn't want to acknowledge us, man. But what are they today?
I'm just saying.
I-70, baby.
Are they gonna be here?
Everything come through Kansas City, man. It has to. We're in the Midwest.
To
get to either coast, you got to come through here.
Championship's gonna come through here.
It's done.
I think so too.
It's done.
Oh man, I'm gonna do. Yeah, I don't watch things. Every time I watch the game, the Chiefs lost. I'm doing the city a favor and not watch the game.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch it. Okay.
Now, just because I'm me, I gotta do this.
Right.
I gotta poke the bear, right? So I haven't watched football really in like 2 years, right?
Yes.
I didn't watch the Chiefs sporadically just because I didn't heard Mahomes was doing a whole bunch of stuff. I had to turn to it.
Good looking.
That's a whole bunch of black folks watching the Chiefs today, though. Right? Even our illustrious is Anita Baker that's singing? I don't want to mess up the name.
The national anthem?
Yeah.
Today?
Yeah.
I don't know who. I didn't know that.
I think it's Anita, right?
Anita Baker, Grammy Award winner.
I think so.
I'm going to the game.
I think so.
You going to the game now?
I'm going to the game.
So when is it?
I thought you was there. You look like my home daddy.
That is my home daddy. According to Murray, episode 193. I tell you, I'll pull it up, man. It aired in like February '89.
It has been nice though, man. For real,
Hey, but question up. Just because I got to do it.
Yeah, I know you're going to go there.
I
already know you're going to go there. Go ahead.
When black folks gonna actually have fortitude and dig in? When we gonna take ourselves serious and make the world take us serious? And I'm talking about the players. the fans, the whole town, right? So we talk about police brutality. We talk about black folks getting murdered by law enforcement. We talk about not getting respected. We got LeBron James talking about NFL players as modern day slaves. We talk all this rah stuff. And then when it comes to entertainment, we sit at home, we give them our watching dollars, right? Because we turn the TV on, even if you ain't got a ticket, it's called ratings. The same thing our president talks about, right? Those ratings is associated dollars. So we give them our associated dollars by sitting there watching. We clapping our hands at these NFL owners that are telling players that they can't kneel. Even in Kansas City,
I agree.
Marcus Peters.
I agree with that.
Marcus Peters ran out of town. Like, oh, you want to kneel? You want to kneel? I don't care about you stopping balls.
You don't care about flags either. You go flags back.
So where we at? When we gonna dig in the ground?
They gotta understand what it is.
You got a point.
I mean, it's the modern Coliseum. So it is. They don't even know how the Coliseum was a distraction for that. You know what I'm saying?
I give you that, but the difference in the Coliseum is, and I give you that. I studied Roman theology. I was forced to.
You was forced to.
Yeah, I was forced to. The difference about now, hold on. The difference about the Coliseum is you didn't have the oppressors going to Rome, sitting there cheering underneath Caesar, and because that was what it was called, underneath Caesar, while they was fighting lions, tigers, bears, and other subjugated people.
I mean, I watched the NFL. They got the Bears, Chicago Bears. The Detroit Lions.
No, what I'm saying is the same subjugated
City
people
Chiefs.
or they're promoting and cheering overtly.
Yeah.
Right? Like, again, I don't care if people like Colin Kaepernick or not. And notice I got that name right.
That's the new version.
I got it close enough. I don't care if folks like him or not. I don't care if folks like Peters or not.
He stood for something.
I know during the second Reconstruction, black folks didn't want to walk. But we had a couple people. Rosa Parks was the most famous one. She wasn't the first lady, but she was the most famous one that refused to give up her seat. Everybody started riding the bus until we had access. Yeah. But we talk about police brutality, and we talk about we want them to take us seriously. But we go to the NFL. We purchase. What's going on, Tyrone? We. I don't know if y'all seen the movie Mr. Glass.
There he is.
This is us right here.
There he is.
So let's go. I will tell you, we're gonna need you to jump in on this too, because I'm curious. Where's black people fortitude at? We talk about we hate police brutality. We talk about we want them to take us seriously. We don't take ourselves seriously though. And I ain't saying this protest is.
I know it.
I know. Go ahead, Charles.
And I understand what you said. That is our thinking. Until we can change our thinking, we're going to continue to have those results. I agree with that. I agree with Colin for taking the knee and what he took the knee for. Real talk. I think more need to take the knee, but stay on the knee. Stand on that.
But they said they couldn't.
Who is they?
The NFL.
Because they chose to listen.
And we chose to support that.
Well,
right? They said that they could.
Divided we fall.
Now go ahead. What is it?
United we stand, divided we fall. It can't just be like 10 people doing it, then everybody's look at them. Like I've been through so many situations where it takes that everybody's doing it. But if that one or two people stop doing it, it's gonna mess up the whole movement. So,
okay, but now I'm confused because I'm from the block. I'm from the 50s and the trades, a little bit of the 40s, right?
Yeah.
I remember growing up in the 80s. I remember one person had the raccoon hat. Everybody had a raccoon cat. One person had a pack. I gotta get a pack too. Yeah. One person had a little bit of greens. Now everybody got greens, right? So we follow along when we choose to. We follow, and then we had the same excuse. We don't. Strikes. But now it's the same thing. Because then we come up with the same excuse. Well, we don't grow the dope. Well, if we don't grow the dope and we sell the dope, then that means we're being orchestrated and we're being colonized and we're being told to do something that we don't even have ownership of. And that would be the excuse religiously. Well, I ain't growing it, but you're selling it. And it's the same thing with the protest. Well, I ain't really into football, I'm just gonna watch it. Okay, well, they said that they don't want you to bend over for police brutality, right? Which means they want police brutality to go along, co-sign it. And we like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go get my Budweiser, I'm gonna go to the game, I'm gonna wear my shirt. Or am I wrong, man? Am I just too cynical? What's that you got, birthday boy?
I'm gonna wear my shirt. Today I'm gonna wear my shirt. Today KC all day, every day. KC all day, every day. That was a Kansas City.
I bet
That's a Kansas City. Yeah, I don't know about no. Yeah.
That look like a 12th Street Kansas City.
No, that's I-12.
I guess nobody wants to answer this question. I see we got a couple things. They got rid of Peters because he was a stand-up guy. They don't want black men in Kansas City to stand up for what they believe in. I agree with you 100% on that.
I ain't just Kansas City.
But
it's everywhere.
now I was just about to say that though.
It's everywhere.
But we co-sign. Like when I go through my social media feed,
But if your credit good, you don't need a cosign.
Say that again.
If your credit good, you don't need a cosign.
we're gonna get into that. When I go down my line, of social media feed, I see a whole bunch of people that have melanated skin that look like me.
Yes.
Damn near all of them got something that promotes the game.
I don't know. I
This
can't
is all
see
type of PR.
I don't know. I
stuff.
can't see him.
For an institution here in Kansas City that said you can't do that. Now they didn't go after Mahomes last week when he bent over next to the pole and he was praying.
$2 million man.
Because I'm
$2
just
million
saying when we're gonna draw the line.
$200 million.
And again, you listen to
200,
What's Real Talk, KUAW, LPFM. The calling number is area code 816-599-6893. So we started off talking about correctional and the correctional institution closed.
Now we're dealing with the city. We're at home now. You're at home now.
I'm just saying, and it seems the same thing to me. So I got something interesting because this goes to when we're gonna have fortitude and when we're gonna take ourselves serious.
He ain't left there, did he?
No. I'm
stayed
gonna jump off a little bit. So I get home, right? So for those that don't know, the majority of my time is not in Kansas City. Right? I just look like I'm here a lot. I'm in Jeff City.
But you're visible though when you're here, my brother. I can't say that.
No, I try to
You're
be. Dude, we've been
Very
bamboozled, led astray, then let Plymouth Rock hit us on the head, and then we picked it up and dropped it on us again. Like, hey man, we like the way this pain feels. But so anyway, I come home Thursday, right? Get home late, just barely missed ice and all that good stuff. I'm feeling good. Talked to my wife, Tasha. She was like, "You're not gonna believe this." I'm like, "Believe what? Believe what?"
How did she say it? You're not gonna believe this.
It's not gonna be. I'm like, what happened? She was like, the kids' school was on lockdown. I'm like, there's a lockdown. I was like, lockdown for what?
Yeah.
What happened? One of the buses got shot up. Really?
It's real. And it's sad.
Really?
Sad. Yeah, really.
Yeah. And this ain't the first bus.
The second one.
Yeah.
With the same bus. The second bus within the last month.
Yeah. Now
That's what
again,
shot it like that.
I grew up on the block. Now I've never been ashamed of it. And at the time, I knew that the streets knew who was popping for anybody else. Knew. Like we knew who got knocked. We knew who did it. We knew why. We knew the other person that was in the house that wasn't supposed to be in the house. Right?
It's real tough.
Even though nobody talked about anything. Well, growing up, it was normal. Killer City. This was supposed to happen. I'm a little older, and I'm wondering why are we allowing this madness to still happen? What is gangster about your kids going to school and a school bus getting shot up?
Nothing.
Who's holding that block down?
I don't know. I don't know what block that come from. None that I grew up on or traveled on. Because for one thing, it's me when we came up. First of all, kids was off limits.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do nothing but show love to kids.
I'm gonna throw a couple things in for the round table, just because my man hit me with the Willie Lynch syndrome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got a problem with that. So let's say that the Willie Lynch letter is real. Let's say that Mr. Willie Lynch wrote a document talking about how to break a slave. Well, if that's real, wouldn't it be our fault for not reverse engineering? So if I put in the book how to marginalize a community, how to make a community less than human, and how to divide the family, because all of this is in the Willie Lynch letter. Wouldn't that be on us to be smart enough to be like, all right, cuz if this is the document that you put down that said this is how you're gonna oppress me, then I'll reverse engineer that. That isn't the furtherment of the guaranteeing that I stay colonized. Because if you give me a step-by-step program of this is how I'm gonna contain you, D, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tie your shoes together, I'm gonna lock you to the bed, and I'm gonna smack you every day.
All right, which one you doing first?
My point is accurate, right?
Yeah,
right.
That's how I look at
So I'm gonna start reverse engineering this.
Yeah,
So if you tell me that we're gonna keep the black community broken up, and then inside the black community we don't fight for family, then I can't say it's on him because you can only hustle me once. The first time that I see you and I walk up on you and you smack me, you got that one off.
Right.
You got that one off. Now, if I walk up on you again and you smack me, I can't blame you, brother, because
That's
I
on
knew you
me.
didn't have good
That's on me.
intentions.
Yeah.
I knew that right hand was gonna come, so I should be willing to dip and hit. And I only threw that in just for the argument, the conversation. So are we being contained by documents from the 1800s of the Willie Lynch letter that tells us how to break a slave, how to buck break a slave?
Yeah, the mentality ain't the we oppress ourselves with our mentality, but we got some type of hopelessness, that's there that shouldn't be there. Like it's like you remember, I'll say you count your blessings, or you count the things that's oppressing you, as a counter to that. But the problem is our focus is off. Not mine, but I'm saying in general.
Now,
If the focus is on all the things, they'll be like, hey, you can't do this, can't do that, can't do that. You start accepting that, but you don't look at what you can do. You're too busy focused on what you can't do and what's not possible.
So question it, and I want my man Reggie to jump in. So question, is the Willie Lynch letter really what's holding us back, or has the Willie Lynch syndrome been modified? Now follow me though. Yeah. Just going off what you just said, has it been modified to be institutionalized? Meaning, if the old Lynch letter said we break up the family, etc., is the new Lynch law that we give you inadequate education so you don't have the fundamentals?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm just starting stuff.
Yes.
No, I agree with that 1000%.
I'm just saying
that's your tool.
In school,
that's how you combat. You got to get your weapons to combat, but at the same time, they take them away from you. Now what? But at the same time, you got to use a different tool. But the strongest tool is your mind. And if they rob you from that tool, then what do you got?
No, I'm with you. I got to hit my man Reggie because I got to agree with him 100% on this one.
Yeah, that's good.
By taking away our elders, the youth have no understanding of what and how to grow from the misunderstanding. I agree with you 100%.
I agree with that too. But also there's an aspect where there are elders there.
I was about to hit them
away. Because a lot of them, I've heard this, with the generation gap, where they'll be like, oh, we can't do this or that. But it's like, nah, maybe you're not physically able to do certain things, but you should be a little more witty. You should see the game. You see how they've done it. That's where the education got to come. So it's up to the youth too. They got to listen to it.
So when do we
got to be open?
They got to be open to listen to it.
All right, let's go off for everything I just said.
I'm about to speak.
Go ahead.
It's this book I read, right? I'm not gonna go in depth on it, right? It's by Thomas Swowell. It's called Black Rednecks and White Liberates.
I got that book.
Yeah. And so he speaks on the origin of the blacks' personality and where it really came from, to speak the difference between the white Northerners and the South Northerners, and basically how the violence and the business ethics was very terrible in doing with the whites in the South compared to the whites in the North. Yeah. And the blacks unconsciously picked up the rednecks' behavior, but at the end of the day, they try to focus it more on, well, look at us now, to basically take the focus off the ones that have the origin of the behavior we just picked up from it.
Well, let me throw that in. Let me throw
something at that.
When we talking about
unconsciously. That's the problem. We gotta be conscious.
Why
we accept to be unconscious to begin with? Like that's crazy to me. And then you hear, for example, like you saying with the letters, the term ignorance. Okay, you're gonna call us ignorance all the time, but we just gonna keep rocking with it. All they're doing is perpetuating the same ignorance that we allow it.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong on this though, because consciousness will only be associated with understanding of reality, right? Mm-hmm. So the more conscious I am just means the better I understand reality. It doesn't mean I'm smarter. It just means I understand this better than somebody else. I understand it more in depth. So let's examine this. So when we talk, and I'm good with rednecks. Like I tell people this all day long.
Especially if you
no. Anybody
especially if y'all know that you
no. I talk about this at the Capitol on the floor. Anybody white that calls himself a redneck, at the end of the day, our conversation is going to be palatable because we're talking about the same sufferers underneath different eyes.
Yes.
They don't like police. They don't like government intrusion. They got bad education. They got poverty. They actually got more poverty because it's isolated, right? In a different ruralistic setting. But to examine it and to be honest about it is a little different, which goes to sociology. And it goes to our foundation of education, consciousness, and what we get and what we don't get, which goes back to what my man was talking about. It takes a village to raise one, and most of our elders is gone. So let's say all of this is the mixtures in the pot. When are we going to take it upon ourselves to force the paradigm? Meaning, if I know it's not cool to sleep in urine, right? It's not cool. It's not gangster. You do it when you're a baby, but it's not cool. Do I allow my kid to do it because he doesn't know, or do I force the issue like, hey, bro, you cannot use the bathroom on yourself when you sleep because this is unsanitary? And it would be the same when we talk about associated reality. Do we force the issue with those that don't understand? And look here, bro.
Not all the time.
Why not?
That's a good question, but no, it's not done all the time. It should be.
I mean, why we let people bleed? When I grew up and I started hustling, I knew older cats, right?
Correct.
And then when I got a little older, I see young cats. I was like, hey, bro.
They knew an older cat.
No, but I run up on them. I'll be like, hey, man, when I was 18, I thought I was the only one out here.
Right.
I didn't realize that when I was 18, it was another cat that was out here that was 18, but he's 28 locked up somewhere. And I just happened to be free. And I want you to know that you're about to run into a brick wall because that's a wall right there. You don't have to hit that wall. And it's the same when we talk about what we're not doing in our community. We got kids, women, children being murdered. We don't say nothing.
But what about the ones that don't care though? I sit down and talk to dudes. What about the ones that are all the way lost? And you know,
There's no such thing. I don't believe it.
No, it is, but they don't care because
yeah,
why?
what do you say to? I used to be in the mind frame too. Like I knew I was going to jail. I seen my homies. I seen all this. But at the end of the day, this is life and we live it.
And I'm glad you said that because perception is reality with the absence of facts. So, right. So when I was growing up, I used to tell people religiously, I'm not gonna make it past 25. That was my mentality. I hit 25 and I was like, hold on, what am I gonna do?
You lost, huh?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
And then I hit 25. Hold on, I hit
Yeah.
25 and I was like, I'm 25.
Right. And I'm still
Now,
here.
now you don't know what to do.
Yeah, well,
Now you like, dang, we done made it to this.
Yeah.
You know, this we didn't even think that was possible.
And I just happened to be
Yeah.
doing music and playing with politics. And that kept me like, all right, I got a chance to do something, so I can't mess up because I want to get in this game and I want to show them what we can do. I want to be Malcolm in office. But, you know, it is what it is.
I think once you get to that point, you actually reach that goal. Because for real, you're telling yourself that's unattainable. To live past 25 already, your environment's telling you that. The statistics is telling you that. Everything around you telling you ain't going to make that goal. Then when you finally make that goal, it is, I've been there too. You kind of lost. Like, hey, I don't know where to go from here because I ain't even think, you know, now it's like, what do you do? Actually, I learned that's kind of some freedom there. It's a mental freedom because like you got a choice now. I said, but the messed up part is you didn't understand you had a choice the whole time, but you accepted to believe all of that, you know, nonsense going on around.
I gotta do a section first.
Go ahead.
Now you because I want you to say where you at.
Yeah.
You listen to What's Real Talk, KUAW. We got OG George on the ones and twos over there.
Yeah.
Call that number is 816-599-6893. Sorry about that, D. Keep going where you at.
Yeah,
so I want to throw this in with
Go ahead.
acceptance as you're talking, because currently we're accepting the government shutdown. Keep going.
Except
I just had to throw it in.
yeah, we accepted McDonald's too for some reason. You know, I look at that too. See, you know, I'm a little more business minded now that I'm older. I'm like, man, yeah, let me buy a whole bunch of people some McDonald's real quick. That's a nice tax write-off.
Ooh.
You see, but at the same time, we got the PR. I mean, dang, they watch Scandal.
Stop.
They watch Scandal. I
Probably
would probably do.
Probably
But they-
Russian McDonald's stuff.
Oh, we got to slow down with that. See, they watch Scandal.
I know the sauce came from.
They see everything Mr. Olivia Pope doing, but they act like that ain't really what's going down. Sometimes they got to, you know, you got to spoon feed them with some of that game there. They see it all the time, but they don't, like you said, ain't no fortitude in that. They just keep rolling like, hey, we're gonna be all right. Same thing with the wall. You know, you're talking about this wall. I'm like, man, why we building a wall?
Yeah, I got to do this because we got like 7 minutes. I got to get York in again. We listen to KUAW. Calling number 816-599-6893. What's real talk? York, I'm gonna start you off with this, bro, because we don't have that much time on here. Why are people so concerned about R. Kelly, football games, and all type of other stuff when the government been shut down for almost a month?
At the end of the
Well,
day,
actually been a month.
at the end of the day, I realized something from talking to my girl and stuff now. America focuses on, we got these superheroes, okay, okay, that's what you said. We got the superheroes to basically cover up what's everything's going on. R. Kelly, and then you got the Chiefs game. These are
How you gonna put the Chiefs in that equation?
because
They ain't nowhere in that equation.
But listen, if you look at
You
right
gonna put them with R. Kelly?
R. Kelly.
We ain't peeing on nobody.
Okay. We're not gonna talk about the Chiefs.
Patriots.
We're not gonna talk about the Chiefs for Charles today, right?
Yeah.
But the main thing is these are things that are put in place to basically blind you from what's really going on. Because I don't understand it. We're about to go into a recession. I don't care about R. Kelly.
Yeah.
I don't care about these new movies coming out. I really don't care about the Chiefs game, but I'm rooting for them right now for the simple fact I'm gonna support my city. But we're going into a financial crisis right now. And at the end of the
I want
day,
to stay there. I want to stay there. I want D to jump in on this too. I want to stay there where you at with the financial crisis because
That's real.
I don't think people are paying attention.
They're not.
So in America, we have our stuff going on. People ain't paid attention to across the river, across the waters. The Britics, they said by March, if they don't have a new deal, they go into recession, which goes exactly what you're talking about. Because you're talking about world events corresponding with what's popping here. Please continue.
And so the simple fact is that we need to start realizing what's really going on, man. This man that came in, he's about to destroy our country. And at the end of the day, for the people that got welfare, for the people that's getting food stamps, because this month everybody got double. You got double because you ain't getting none next month. You ain't getting none next month.
So you should manage it pretty well.
So you should manage it
So that
pretty
wasn't a
well.
bonus.
No, you ain't getting none next month. That's just to throw you off of what's really going on. Like, here, take this.
Fantasy versus reality.
Fantasy versus reality. At the end of the day, they keep us in a fantasy. And the most thing to become liberated and set yourself free. It's my OG always told me. You gotta live in the real world. You gotta look at things for what it is and not what you want it to be. And at this present time, people are so caught up in this fantasy world because at the end of the day, life is real.
Yeah.
This stuff is real out here, and it's hard out here too.
2 minutes. 2 minutes. You listen to What's Real, Real Talk, KUAW. Calling numbers area code 816-599-6893.
Maybe the McDonald's is kind of getting the nation prepared for that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you might not get that expensive salad no more.
2 for $5.
You know, you might have to go ahead and hit that dollar value menu because that's what's coming. That's the taste of what's to come. But also, man, you know, you look at Trump, you know, a lot of people, they upset at him, but to me, that is a reflection of America. Because he is there. Because in those types of mentalities and things going, he would never got there if America wasn't with that. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, do you really fault him for that? Do you fault the people? You know, it's like, who's really to blame here? You got all this, you know, it's intricate. It's pretty,
no, I agree with
it's
you.
dynamic there.
And I see something very quick on Facebook the other day, and a dude said, he was like, the only reason that Trump got in office because we still have so many racists in America, racist people in America, that at the end of the day, they were so mad that they see Obama was in office, that they didn't want another black president or a woman in office. And so they put Trump in there.
They was united enough to do that.
All right. You've been listening.
Now look at them, right? They all gonna be out there.
You want to throw something in real quick?
They all gonna be part of recession.
What's real? Real talk. Kansas City. Thanks. Be safe. Charles Johnson's birthday weekend. Kansas City's in the house. Go Chiefs.
And again, you've been listening to What's Real, Real Talk, KUAW. We'll be on the first and third Sunday, but I got to say this ending. Is Trump the perfect symbolism of America? Rich, greedy, arrogant, and unconcerned?
Marinate on it. We get back with you next. Marinate on it. When we come back, that'll be our topic.
That was a quick, nice one.
All right. Hey, we didn't even hear our music going off, man. We're going to get another producer. We didn't even hear our. Told me that.
No, brother.
We're doing it 2009. Give you money.
Yeah,
That was
that's
you
right.
there.
Good now.
Gotta get it how you get it. Okay, let me get down back. You about to go on tonight?
What?
Is the Inkwell coming on now?
No. Next generation.
How y'all doing? Yeah, how's everybody's day been?
How y'all doing?
Yeah, that's excellent. Excellent, sister. Excellent.
Hey, y'all know he's supposed to be coming on as co-host, man. We're gonna take him to the bathroom and beat him one day. That's
Why you ain't coming
we're not
on?
doing my old school.
Oh, man, I've been working.
We working too.
We're not doing my old school.
We working with informative community.
We got
Hey,
we got to send them home with those eyes, man.
okay, give him a hall pass.
You wearing that jacket of
They got a hole in the house.